Hey, welcome to the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast with me, Rob Kosberg. Every week, I interview thought leaders and experts who have used a book to grow their income and their impact. So tune in weekly for these interviews so you can learn how to use your own best-selling book and go from hunting for clients and opportunities to instead being the hunted. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Rob Kosberg here with another episode of the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast. I have a great guest for you today. Somebody I think you're going to learn a lot from, Ravi Kathuria. Ravi is the best-selling author of a couple of books. How Cohesive Is Your Company is his book from several years back that he uses to grow his consulting business. And then there's Happy Soul, Hungry Mind. Ravi has been quoted in the Wall Street Journal, Barron's, NPR, PBS, CBS, TEDx, you name it. The guy's been everywhere sharing his wisdom and his knowledge. And he finally made it to the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast. So, Ravi, good to have you here, my friend.
Same here, Rob. Let me say this. I may have been quoted in Wall Street Journal, in Forbes, in NBS, in CBS, doesn't matter. Today, I have finally arrived.
You finally made it.
I finally made it. All this work. I have finally made it to the Rob Kosberg podcast. This is it. This is
your big break right here. So don't blow it.
I have reached the pinnacle. This is finally.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob, for inviting me.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you. I love your philosophical nature. You've written one business book, one more a spiritual. Both of them are more parable type books, right? They're stories. So, tell me a little bit about your first book and your expertise, how those two things connect and how you help businesses to be more cohesive, et cetera.
Yes. Thank you, Rob. Great question. I am an executive coach and I'm a management consultant, a management advisor. And in fact, both my books are conversations between an executive and a mentor.
Beautiful.
The first book is purely business. The second book is more about life and finding peace. So it goes, the first book is about 30,000 feet. The second book goes to 60,000 feet.
Nice.
But their conversation, we all need our mentors. We all need our coaches. It doesn't matter who we are. And so how cohesive is your company? That business book is the story of a new CEO, Trent Wertheimer. And Trent, is very sharp. He's a very intelligent, brilliant man. And he thinks he can take the company to the next level. He was the VP of sales, gets promoted to become CEO. He says, I should be able to take the company to the next level. I know what the problems are.
Right.
Well, the harder he tries, the deeper he begins to dig himself into a hole. He just doesn't realize how the company is functioning and keeps running into these brick walls. So it's the story of Trent and how he must drive business transformation. The company is in need of business transformation. It needs to drive business transformation, but Trent has to realize that he has to go through a personal transformation for the business transformation to succeed.
Interesting.
And so it's this interplay of these two aspects. It's Trent's own growth as the CEO, as an executive, as a leader, as a manager, and the changing of the company and the company finding itself and recognizing what truly is the most important aspect of the company.
Right. Tell me, Ravi, maybe we could even take a step back. What is a cohesive company? What does that even mean? I understand corporate culture and we speak to a lot of business experts on those types of subject matter, but cohesiveness isn't something that you hear every day when it comes to that. So what does that mean to you? And fill in those blanks for me.
Yeah, Rob, you're wonderful, sir. You're wonderful because you're picking, this notion of what is cohesiveness, what is a cohesive company? If you look at the most successful companies, and let me qualify that, successful companies with sustained success. Right? Not companies that were there for a year and were hugely successful and then disappeared.
Sure.
But you look at companies that have stayed successful. What is it behind? We have enough books and theories about it. This is mine. The two aspects that I find successful companies who say successful for the long term, the two aspects that these companies have, one is clarity and the other is cohesion.
Okay.
Now, clarity and cohesion, they seem as very simple words. But when I have discussions with CEOs and leaders about what clarity and cohesion would mean to their companies, the manifestation and ramifications of clarity and cohesion in their companies is profound. They lack clarity and cohesion everywhere you turn in the company. In fact, CEOs themselves, and even I've found companies that are still doing well, making money. When I talk to these CEOs, I find that they lack clarity. Because you talk to these CEOs, they're brilliant, and what they have is a million ideas.
Right.
So you talk to the CEO one Monday, you come back the next Monday, he or she has another set of ideas ready because they spend a weekend somewhere. And you go, excuse me, are we doing what you talked about last Monday, or are we going to do what you're talking about this Monday?
Right.
And their organization keeps hearing these ideas and starts discounting. And so CEOs ask me this, I have all the authority in this organization. I can fire anyone in the company. I say, no, I understand that. I understand that. They say, well, why are they not listening to me? This is behind the closed doors. And I tell them, you have to stop talking so much. Right? You are confusing the organization. The organization doesn't understand what really is important.
Yeah.
Do you understand what is important?
Yeah. Interesting. So go deeper into that. So like what 2, 3, 4 things or one thing do you mean by clarity? So they need clarity in this is what our company does, clarity in like walk me through, because there must be a number of different things that you must be completely clear on.
Yes. And for every company, that clarity is different because every company, like a person, is unique.
Right.
I am unique. You are unique. Every company is unique. And it has to develop and identify that sense of clarity.
Okay.
Right. And let's talk about Steve Jobs. If we close our eyes and think about Steve Jobs and how he built the mold for Apple, what is the one component, one quality of Apple products that come to your mind?
For me, I'd say just they're beautiful.
They're beautiful.
They're elegantly, beautifully designed.
Yes. There is even a more fundamental concept that applies to all Apple products. And maybe, with Steve Jobs going, that will get diluted. But when Steve Jobs was there, he was maniacal about this. The products that Apple put out had to be really, really easy to use.
Yeah, simple. Yeah.
They had to be simple to use. In fact, the birth of the Windows operating system was a copy of what, Macintosh was doing, because Steve Jobs said, I want an operating system where people can find it easy to use a computer. And Windows was a nightmare. You needed a computer science degree. I had a computer science degree, right? It was horrendous, that DOS interface. Oh my God. I can't imagine how that company ever became successful. Now, Steve Jobs comes and says, I want to make this simple. And then he goes into, you think about this philosophy, the clarity that the man has, then he goes from computers to music and he creates this iPod.
Yeah.
And it is really simple. And that philosophy, that clarity, if I go to Apple and I get hired as this top executive VP and I try to complicate the products, what would have happened? I would have been fired on the second day.
Wow.
You have to understand what the clarity in the company is and then have cohesion in every decision that gets made with that clarity.
Interesting.
Did I say clarity and cohesion are the two most important aspects if you want to create a successful company? Every company that fails, it can be the root cause starts with lack of clarity. These, they may be Ivy League educated MBAs with 30 years of experience in the industry, but they are so confused about what the company stands for and what they're trying to do.
Right.
And it's baffling to me when I come on from the outside and I look at them and I say, what are you doing? You're so brilliant. You have all the resources, and yet you are confusing the issue.
Yeah.
Have clarity. And I don't care what clarity you pick. That the answer is not, is this better than the other one? The answer is to have clarity and then have the wherewithal to stick with that in every aspect. And that's what the book, How Cohesive is the Company, is that company that Trent is managing or becomes CEO of Humatics, they do not have clarity. So clarity has to come in, and then they have to make sure every action, every decision now fits. And that's the journey of the business transformation.
Move me to cohesion. So if a company like Apple has clarity, then what does cohesion mean? Does that mean that everybody's on the same page with that clarity? What is that cohesion part of it?
Yes. Beautiful question. So if I'm Steve Jobs and I've said, the clarity that I have is we have to make ease of use. It has to be simple.
Yeah.
Then cohesion is when I build the product, whether it is a music product, whether it is a software product.
Sure.
I have to do it. So I have to go back to my designers and drive that in. I have to now work with my hardware guys, right? Make sure that the hardware that they design, the number of buttons that they put on the product, right? It has to have fewer buttons. I have my satellite remote and it has so many buttons. And then what they do is they send me a new version of it.
Yeah.
And my brain is confused now because I still have the old one in the other room. And oh my, who is designing this stuff? Right?
Yep.
So it has to propagate everything that the company does, all the products. In fact, the number of products, the number of versions of products that you create, right? If you create, you look at Microsoft, when it puts out a software, when it comes up with a new, I'm sorry, I'm raining down on Microsoft.
Yes, you are.
Microsoft, manages to irritate me because they came out with Windows 10 and all the good features of Windows 7, they threw out. I still struggle with it and I go, oh my God, who is making these decisions? These people lack clarity and cohesion. Microsoft is a mess. Now, I use their products every day. I could not have done my work without Microsoft, but they're a company in terms of their products. Their heads of product design need to be fired. Okay,
we'll see if we can get this podcast out to them, so they'll hire you to clean house.
Yes, absolutely. They're just horrendous in terms of the product. You look at, they lack clarity. They go from one version to another, and it is painful to the customer. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Who is taking responsibility at a company? So clarity, and we talked about cohesion. It has to flow through in every aspect, every decision and action. And I go into companies. They tell me, "Look, Ravi, we have developed a great strategy. This is a great strategy," and they're very proud of it. They hired, I won't name one of these, fancy consulting companies who charge millions of dollars and produce this fancy presentation and binder. And they're trying, and the CEO is trying to impress me. Look, we produced this strategy. I said, that's wonderful. Good for you. And then I asked them, I said, what is changing in your company because of this strategy? Tell me one thing that is changing in your company. And they look at me like, well, what are you saying? I say, if I go in your company right now and I grab the next person I see and I say, this company, your CEO just spent millions of dollars with this fancy consulting company and has a new strategy in his office. What are you doing different because of that strategy? And I tell the CEO, I am willing to bet that 90% of the people that I meet out there are not changing one thing because of your new strategy.
Right.
Right. So cohesion is taking the strategy and operationalizing it.
Interesting.
If you as the CEO do not understand how this strategy is going to change, and people in the company do not understand what they have to do differently, save your millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Or call me earlier so I can set that for you. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's have clarity, Mr. or Miss C, on why you do engage me at the right time. Let's have absolute clarity on why you're bringing me in.
So, Ravi, tell me, when it comes to clarity, what are some questions that, a company, the executives of a company need to answer so that they can create this clarity initially? What are some questions for them?
Mr. Rob, you are so wonderful. Your questions are absolutely beautiful.
Well, thank you. I'm just curious. I want to create clarity, so I want to know what the hell I'm doing.
Yes. So in this book, How Cohesive is Your Company, I introduce a management method. And the management method has 5 facets, but at the center of this 5 facets is a facet called spirit.
Okay.
Spirit, not in terms of philanthropic or social aspects, spirit as in essence.
Okay.
So what is the spirit of the company? Okay. What is the spirit of the business? Why does the business exist? What is the purpose, right? And what, more importantly, is the business model and core management philosophies of that business. Whenever I have watched very successful CEOs, they have 2 or 3 core management philosophies that they do not violate. They keep it very close to them.
Such as?
And so let's take Sam Walton. And Sam Walton is gone, but Walmart exists today.
Yeah.
Have you ever, I don't know if your audience knows this, but Walmart was the number 1 Fortune 500 company for many years in terms of revenues. Yeah. Even more than ExxonMobil, the giant. Of course, ExxonMobil is nowhere close to where it used to be, but Walmart used to be number 1 in revenues. And it was a very profitable company. It would generate billions of dollars in profit. All right. So a company which is very successful, very well profitable, yet in the history of Walmart, have you ever gone into Walmart and seen a $3,000 suit?
No.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And if you walked in there and you saw a $3,000 suit, what would be your first thought that goes through your mind?
What are they doing in Walmart?
What are they doing? This seems to be like a mistake. This seems like a typo.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're an employee working at Walmart and you find a $3,000 suit, you say, this cannot be true. Now, all of us understand that, right?
Yeah. We
have absolute clarity about what Walmart stands for. How is that? How do they train their customer to expect? I listen to all these great business gurus who say you have to exceed customer expectations. They're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. These people don't understand what business is about. That is not how you make a business. You know what business makes business? Is meeting customer expectations consistently over and over again.
Yeah.
Promise the customer something and then deliver it to it every time.
Sure. McDonald's.
Do not worry about going about, because if you're on the board of a company and the CEO says, I want to exceed customer expectations, I say, who's paying for that? Am I the investor paying for it, or you, the CEO, are paying for it out of your own pocket? I'm a business. I want to deliver what I promise, and I want to deliver exactly that. And I want to deliver it every time.
Right. Then
the customer respects me, and I respect the customer. I use Southwest Airlines as an example. Southwest Airlines gives you, I haven't traveled recently, but they give you half a can of Coke and 1 bag of peanuts.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you have a million miles flying on, they'll give you half a can of Coke. And one day, the air hostess, she gave me a full can. And I went, oh my God, this guy's got to be the best day of my life. Right? I was beaming end to end. But all I get is half a can of Coke and peanuts, and I'm satisfied. What I want from Southwest is fly 20 times from Houston to Dallas. So I can go, if I want to go to Dallas, I can drive down to Hobby Airport and get on. There is a flight there and it lands on time.
Yeah.
I do not want to miss my 2:00 meeting in Dallas. I want you to get the plane there to Dallas in time so I make the meeting. And I have a conference call in the morning that I don't want to miss. So I want to make my conference call in Houston, drive to the airport and get to Dallas by 2. And I'm okay with that half a can and that peanuts. And that's all I want.
Right.
I do not want you to feed me a huge lunch and tell me, oh, Mr. Kathuria, sorry, the plane will be half an hour late.
Right.
And aren't you happy we fed you this lunch? I say, excuse me.
Just give me my peanuts. I just
give
want
me
my little bag of peanuts.
Stop loading the lunch. I don't want the fancy lunch. Let's just take off with the Coke of cans you have, and and with the bag of peanuts.
That's good. Ravi, that's good stuff. I mean, I want to shift gears a little bit because this could get away from us. Because I'm having a good time and I'm learning a lot. But, you've written these books. Obviously, if someone is a CEO of a company, they need to get, the cohesive company. Sounds like what you've done is masterful. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, sir.
Tell me, you wrote your books to make an impact on people, to help, but you also wrote your books to do something for you, for your business, et cetera. Right. Tell me, how have your books helped you to gain authority, bring on new consulting clients, et cetera? Give me some examples of that if you could.
Absolutely. I have a great example to share. I wrote my book, How Cohesive is Your Company, because it's a management process that I implemented in companies.
Right.
And my problem was when I would ask the CEO, I say, I've just gone through the management process. Can you describe it to another CEO? They'll go, he's very good. He's really nice. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But they say, what did he do? And they would not know. How he was really good and he's been there for months and our company is making a lot of money. But what did he do?
Right.
They could not. And so I said, I need to write the book to explain the process. And also when I met prospects, they said, what are you going to come and do? Whatever you're saying, we can do. I got my couple of guys here. I said, no, you're not understanding. Yeah. So I got tired of having to explain that. So I said, let me write the book. And then when a prospect would call, I would say, read the book and then call me. So that happened. So this is a beautiful example. I had a prospect and he came to one of the events I was holding that organizing, and he bought the book and he went away. And then a week later, he called me and he said, and we're just having a phone conversation because he called me on the phone. He says, Ravi, I have been CEO for 20 years and this is a company he owned. I've been trying to do what you're talking about for 20 years and it is all in your book. It's right here. Right? It is right here. I said, yes, I can fully understand that. I closed that deal on that phone call.
Love it.
That was amazing to me that he said, yes, I'm hiring you. I didn't have to go and do a pitch for him. It was the fastest, until that point, it was the fastest deal I had ever closed.
Love it.
I love that. I mean, how cool would otherwise you have to have 9 meetings with the CEO, convincing them of everything. Here it was. He read the book. He got what I was trying to say, because the book really is an implementation of the process. He needed that implemented. He understood. He could see I could do it. Yeah. What else was there to talk about but for me to show up and start doing it? How beautiful is that?
So beautiful.
So writing the book really, I thank the book.
Well, you wrote it. So, it's been out, 9 years? So a long time. This is going to be difficult. Maybe no one has ever asked this of you, or you haven't even thought about it, but could you put a dollar amount of, what this book has been worth in consulting contracts and new deals for your business? Any idea? So
let me say this, that clients, so there have been other CEOs as well.
Sure.
I talked about the character Trent Wertheimer. So I have had CEOs call me, or when I go to see them, they tell me, Ravi, I am making the mistakes Trent has been making, right? I have been making the mistakes Trent has been making. Mr. Kosberg, think about the value of that statement.
Yeah. That's why I do books.
When I go to previously when I was going to go to see a CEO, the CEO would tell me, Ravi, our company is great. We have some problems that are only unique to us. And I'd go, yeah, of course, they're only unique to you. Yeah. You see the chasm between getting a CEO who is so confident, wrongly so, in their capabilities to the point where the CEO says, I need somebody from the outside to come help me, brilliant me, versus somebody who has read the book and now calling you and saying, Ravi, I am making the mistakes Trent is making. I don't have to sell at that point, I just have to shut up and wait for the CEO to make the next statement and say, how can I get you in here?
Just push the agreement next to him with a pen.
So instead of, I won't give you a dollar figure, but let me say this. After having written the book and getting CEOs to read it, my engagements were not short engagements. They became long engagements, multi-year engagements, because these companies recognize, these CEOs recognize. And not only that, when I went to those companies, I was respected, right? I'm respected because they have read the book.
Love it.
Previously, when I was going into engagements, I had to sort of prove myself every day.
Yeah.
Somebody, if your audience is listening, why they should write a book, it establishes you as the expert, especially if the book is good. If you write, if your ideas are not good, writing a book is not going to help you. I'm sorry. But if your ideas are good, writing the book codifies that. Somebody reading it, now your level of respect in the organization is much higher.
Yeah.
Right? And now you can make things happen. How wonderful is that?
So wonderful. Ravi, that's a great segue. We've been going for a little while. I love the stuff you've shared. Congratulations on how well your books have done for the reader and for the writer, both. So where can people learn a little bit more about you? Let's give them some links. Where can they either, maybe learn about how you could help them as a consultant or your books or whatever?
Yes. I have two websites. So my management consulting executive coaching website is called Cohegic. It comes from strategic cohesion, the word Cohegic, strategic cohesion. And so you can go to cohegic.com, COHEGIC.com.
Nice word.
That's all about business. And then just a quick plug for my near and dear Happy Soul Hungry Mind.
Yeah.
If you're beginning to wonder about life, because Happy Soul Hungry Mind is a conversation between an entrepreneur who's facing life challenges and is really struggling with his startup and his mentor, and all he's looking for is peace in life. So that website is happysoulhungrymind.com. Beautiful. But call me if you're looking to drive clarity and cohesion in your organization, or at least go read the book and then call me and say, you're making the same mistakes Trent is, and then we have nothing to talk further. Let's
Ravi.
keep it simple.
Love it, Ravi. Love your personality. Love your joy. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, my friend. Great to have you here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kosberg. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. What a wonderful. I enjoyed this segment. Thank you so much. And I finally arrived. So thank you.
Love it.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.